All right, so we got the Cam Newton fight, a new sport that has taken over the internet. And I know I'm late, but I'm going to give you my Super Bowl recap. Let's get into it. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's the world's worst comedian, Terrell Wright, and this is 411, the podcast, episode 3. Uno, dos, tres. Yes, we're finally here. Yes, I did have a hiatus. I was training for a new job. It took 4 weeks in that training, and I was out of town. I was up in Maryland doing that training, but I'm back. And that's all we need to talk about is the fact that I'm back. This is a highly requested episode. When I say highly requested, I mean by about 2 people that reached out to me and was like, hey, what's up with the podcast? So I'm back. Let's get into it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot has happened in 4 weeks. I wish I could recap it all, but this would be over 2 hours worth of an episode. And ain't nobody got all that time. And y'all got a short attention span. Y'all ain't gonna pay attention for that long. So let's get into what we want to talk about today. First thing I want to talk about is the Cam Newton fight. So I'm not sure if you guys saw it. It was a viral video. Cam Newton got into a fight with a couple of people. Let's take a look at it.
You can see Cam Newton. Can you make him out there trying to fight off multiple men? The former NFL quarterback was taking part in an invitation-only camp and tournament when this happened over the weekend. Camp staffers and security officers eventually stepped in to break this up. It is not clear what led up to this fight, but people are investigating. Police, I should say, are investigating. He may have been outnumbered, but over on social media, people are impressed, saying, Mr. Cam Newton held his own. Y'all better watch out now. Y'all know who you running up on.
Wild. Absolutely wild. We're going to dissect that video a little bit here in a second, but I want to give you guys a little bit of backstory, and I don't want to get too much into it, but Cam Newton has been doing a 7-on-7 tournament for about 14 years, I think is what he said. And it's not even just a 7-on-7 tournament. It's a 7-on-7 tournament, but then it's like camps and all kinds of stuff that he's been doing. And he does that as his way of giving back to the community. And it's all high school players, people who are trying to kind of come up, possibly get some opportunities, get some college, teams looking at them or whatever for scholarships. And it's been a really, really positive thing. And if you don't know much about 7-on-7 football, it's a very high octane, very fast paced game where it's just all wide receivers and quarterbacks. And it's actually really fun to watch. My son play 7-on-7. It's actually Spring League is what they call it. And it's a really fun game to watch. Either way, he's been doing this tournament, and at first people were saying that the fight was with kids or with high school kids, and then he actually confirmed. And I'm let's talk about this. I'm actually re-recording this because I recorded this before. I'm going to get a little bit on a tangent here. I recorded this before, and I'm going to show you here. I cut my face off. So I have to re-record it, but the great thing about me re-recording this now is that he has now released a statement talking about what happened. But when I recorded it before, he hadn't said anything about it. So where was I at? He's been doing this tournament, and they thought it was with kids. It wasn't with kids that he was fighting with. It was actually 2 coaches that he had who have been a part of that whole thing with him. Long story short, they said some stuff that triggered him. He said some stuff that triggered them. It got really chippy, and they got into a physical altercation. One of the things that I really wanted to point out about the fight is that it was a fight, but it really wasn't a fight. I don't really think any punches were thrown. It was just them kind of tussling and wrestling with each other. And this is the thing that I don't understand, or that I'm trying to wrap my brain around. Cam Newton is 6'5", about 250, probably 260 pounds, and I would like to believe that he's mostly muscle still. I think he still works out. So why anybody would want to try that, or why anybody would want to fight that dude, I don't understand. But they did, and they went after him, and he handled himself. He handled himself well, and I don't condone any type of violence unless it absolutely has to be done. And those are, you guys know the situations where it absolutely has to be done, and I'm not even going to get into that. But he handled himself really well. He did. He didn't ever throw any punches, and the thing that is really interesting about it is that his hat never came off. And you guys know how Cam Newton is with his hats. And of course, he used that as a great opportunity to plug his hats. He went through all that, did all that fighting, and the hat never came off. And there's so many memes, there's so many things that people are putting out there. Like one person said that it was the Wicked Witch of the West fighting out there with the hat and everything. Just a lot of funny stuff that came out of it. But on a serious note, one of the things that he said in his release, he did it on his 4th and 1 podcast, where he was talking about everything. You know, one of the things that I really like about his approach towards it was he accepted responsibility for his actions. He never played the victim. He never blamed them for anything that they did. He never said they put their hands on me first. None of that. He accepted responsibility for his role in it, and he realized that he let his emotions get the best of him, and he realized that he was in the wrong in whatever way, form, or fashion. And I commend him for that. I've always liked Cam. He's a little much sometimes, but I've always admired him, not only for what he's done on the football field, but he's also done some great things off the football field. And Cam is Cam. You know, he's not anybody but himself, and I can always respect and appreciate that. So I think that was pretty cool that he was able to, you know, accept responsibility for his actions and not not play the victim or blame other people for what they did. So that was pretty awesome. I think that's all I want to say about that. Interesting situation though. So there is a new sports league that I want to say that I think Will Smith is involved in it. I think Will Smith is one of the investors in it, or at least that's what I heard. And the name of this is this new sports or new venue is called Power Slap. And I'm so joking. Will Smith is not a part of it. But ironically, the person that is the owner of it is Dana White, who is the owner of the UFC. I'm sure you guys know who Dana White is. He's the owner of the UFC, so he is the person behind this whole Power Slap brand. And it's ironic because Dana White is no stranger to slapping the shit out of people. You know, he's been documented of slapping people, and I'm not gonna talk more about who he slapped because I'm sure you guys can look that up, or you probably know that. But he's no stranger to slapping people, so it's pretty ironic that he has a slap league right now. But there's one particular video that went stupid viral, like absolutely stupid viral. It's got a bajillion views, and if you haven't seen it, let's check it out.
Keep that smile, girl. One.
Wow. Like, who is this woman? and why is she not Dana White's wife? Why isn't she with him? Because if anybody needs to be with him, it needs to be her. Because obviously she can fend for herself. And not saying that it is his current wife, if they're even still together, can't fend for herself. But you know, given the two, you probably want her to be. But it's a really interesting league, and I say this because I don't think any of these people who are in this league or sport or whatever you call it, I don't think any of these people have ever seen the movie Concussion. You know, and actually, now that I think about it, Will Smith is in Concussion, isn't he? Oh, go figure. See, here's moments. I didn't even realize that. Will Smith plays the guy in Concussion. Anyways, the game of boxing, and if we're gonna like analyze things, so the game of boxing, the name of the game in boxing is to hit and not be hit, and that's why I always say that. What's his name? Floyd Mayweather is one of the best defensive boxers out there because he doesn't get hit. I mean, he just spends the whole time bobbing and weaving, and that's why he's been able to box as long as he has, because he hasn't been getting hit. And I mean, you know what getting hit in the head, having a lot of concussions does. That's why the whole thing with Tua was such a big thing because he was getting back-to-back concussions, and everybody's like, hey man, you could like really have a traumatic brain injury. Of course, they were saying Aaron Hernandez was having a lot of brain injuries, and that's why he went off the rockers. They're saying that Antonio Brown is having the same issues. He took a nasty shot. I remember he was coming across the field. I'm gonna see if I can find that and put it up here. He took a nasty shot coming across the middle of the field, and I don't think he's been right ever since. I mean, granted, he was probably always not really right, but you know, there's a lot of science that backs these traumatic brain injuries from getting these concussions. And this league is about standing in front of somebody and getting the shit smacked out of you, like literally, and you're supposed to take it and not fall and not get knocked out. And I'm like, how do you even prepare for that? That's why I'm like kind of loosely calling it a sport, because how do you prepare for that? How do you train to get the shit smacked out of you every single day, or how many ever times they compete? How do you train for that? You can't train for that. Of course you can train to slap. I mean, I would imagine it's similar to boxing, but you can't train to be slapped. I don't think you can train your body to withstand that kind of trauma, especially over a long period of time. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It's something to watch, man. Of course, you know, the most people's favorite part of watching boxing, MMA, any of that stuff is to watch people get knocked out. I don't know why we as a society like to see people get their blocks knocked off, but it's what we like. And of course, it's going to make a crap ton of money if it's not already. Dana White is very good at extracting the money out of violence. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. It's an interesting an interesting sport, is what I was trying to say. Moving on, the Super Bowl. Now, look, I know I'm late. I know I'm a couple of weeks late, but look, you're gonna get my recap. I know y'all want to hear, or maybe a few of you want to hear what I have to say about the Super Bowl. I'm gonna talk about it in two parts. I'm not gonna talk too much about the game, but I will focus on one part of the game that I thought was absolutely crazy. But the game is the game. It was a good game at the end. Most Super Bowls are pretty boring to me, because you got to think you're gonna have the two best defensive teams, because defense wins games. You're gonna have the two best defensive teams, so they're typically not very high scoring games. Those are the games that I like watching, are the high scoring games. So it was a decent game. But the thing I want to talk about the game was, I'm not even a big football fan. I'm not a huge football fan, but I knew that the rule changed in overtime. And the unfortunate thing is that nobody on the 49ers realized that the rule had changed. Or if they hadn't realized that the rule has changed, I guess they knew the rule changed, but they didn't know the specifics behind it. But the thing that is the craziest about that is the rule changed because of the Chiefs. Because the rule used to be at overtime, coin toss. If you win the coin toss and you get the ball, if you go down and score a touchdown, you win automatically. And I remember the Chiefs. I don't remember which Super Bowl, because they've won, 3 now? It was one of those Super Bowls where they got the ball, went down, scored a touchdown, and won. And they ran and raved about that afterwards because it wasn't fair. I mean, when you look at it, it's not fair. Of course, you got to play good defense, but it pretty much means that whoever wins the coin toss is going to win the game. And you don't want a Super Bowl to be won or to be decided off of a coin toss. Like, that's kind of takes away from the whole sport of the game. So they changed the rules, and they made it so that each team has the opportunity to possess the ball, and you have to match scores pretty much. So if the first team scores a field goal, you have to at least score a field goal in order to keep going. If you don't score a field goal, the first team wins, or if you score a touchdown, you win because you scored more points. And the thing that is really crazy is The 49ers, once they won the coin toss, they were like, oh, we want the ball. And they don't pay me millions of dollars to be on the sidelines. They don't pay me millions of dollars to be in the front office. I don't make these decisions. But if I were the coach, I would not want the ball first against the Chiefs. I would want to give them the ball, let them do what they do, so I know when I get the ball what I got to do. Because you don't want to leave it up to the Chiefs to score a touchdown to win. So, like, what are you doing? And the thing is that nobody knew. And even a lot of players was like, I had no idea. Change. Even some of the coaches, like somebody's got to go. Somebody's got to get fired, bro. Y'all are getting paid millions upon millions of dollars. If you want to give me your salary so I can go out there and make that game time decision, I feel pretty confident and pretty comfortable to make that game time decision when it comes down to it. So literally, I feel like the 49ers gave that game away. I feel like if they would have gave the Chiefs the ball first, I think they would have been in a better position to win. I really do. So they literally handed the Chiefs the victory. So if I were the Chiefs, I mean, granted, they did work hard. They did have a good season. They did play really well in the playoffs. But it just wouldn't have been the same. I don't feel like it would have been the same. But anyways, that was the game. That's what I thought about the game. But let's talk about the halftime show. Yes, let's talk about the halftime show. Now, I'm an Usher fan all day long. All day long, I'm an Usher fan. If you know me, if you've been around me, especially as I was younger, they called me Baby Usher. Now, I don't even know why they call me Baby Usher because I'm about the same age as him. But I wanted to be just like him. I would be in my room, and I had a DVD of him live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, because that's where he was born. It was live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. He did the show that he did when he was opening up for Janet Jackson on the Velvet Rope tour. He did that show in Chattanooga, Tennessee for all of his fans there, and they put it on video. And I had that thing, and when I tell you, I can listen to it now because it's on Apple Music, and you can actually listen to the live album. Word for word, every ad-lib, every dance, every bit of choreography in that daggone video I can do. I was in my room with a mic stand and would go through the entire performance, singing, dancing, everything. So, with that being said, I'm a pretty huge Usher fan. I don't care. I'm not afraid to admit it. So, I'm going to say this. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that the halftime show that Usher performed for this Super Bowl was the best halftime show ever in a Super Bowl. Ever. Yes, I said it. And he is going up against some juggernauts. Michael Jackson, Prince, where it literally rained when he sang Purple Rain. And I think it was in Miami. Justin Timberlake, Justin Timberlake, it wasn't that good, but he did the most amazing tribute to Prince because they were doing the game in Minneapolis. So he did an amazing tribute to Prince that was awesome. Beyonce, Bruno Mars did his thing. I have a new respect for Bruno Mars after watching his performance. He's going up against some heavy hitters, but none of it compares to the Usher show. None of it compares to the Usher show. I have watched that show about, and I'm going to talk about several aspects of it, but I watched probably about 10 or 15 times, and every single time I try to watch something different. Like I'll watch it once and I'll just watch Usher the whole time. I'll watch it again and I'll just watch the dancers. I'll watch it again and I'll watch the lighting, see how the lighting is. It's so intricate. There's so many things, and I catch new things every single time I watch it. You know, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It was such a well put together show. And one thing I want to point out, and this is something that's really frustrating to me, Alicia Keys. So if you were watching it live, Alicia Keys, when she came in saying some people want it all, her voice cracked if you were watching it live. Now, if you go back and try to find it or watch it now, if you go to YouTube, search Usher Super Bowl halftime performance. When you play it, it's edited so her voice doesn't crack. And I have a problem with that. Now, the reason why I have a problem with that is because it's making it so that she's not human. It's making it so that she doesn't make any mistakes. Now, granted, that was a mistake that was made in front of millions upon millions of people. But she even made it a point. I watched the little behind the scenes thing where she was talking about things, and she really didn't want to mess up. You know, she was saying there was a lot of things going on. There was a lot of moving parts. The whole dress thing that she had, it was attached to her. It was supposed to get taken off. There was one point where the mic was supposed to be muted when it took it off, and then it was supposed to be turned back on because nobody wanted to hear the Velcro. It was all kinds of moving parts, and she was like, there's so much going on when I'm supposed to be singing. And she was human, and she messed up, and you won't know it. If you watch it now, if you go back and try to find it, it's hard to find. It really is. And I think that's unfortunate. It really is. I know why it's done, because who wants that out there for a million people to see over and over and over and over again? You know, when you mess up, you don't want people to see that over and over again. But like I said, it makes it so that she's not human. And she's a wonderful performer. She's an awesome singer, awesome songwriter, wonderful person. What it seems like, I don't know her personally. But yeah, that's a really interesting factor in that. But it was such a good show. It was so many good things about it. will.i.am was good. Ludacris was good. Jermaine Dupri. Well, we're not going to talk about his outfit. I'm just gonna probably put it up here and just leave it here and not say anything about it. Jermaine Dupri is Jermaine Dupri, you know, at the end of the day. But it was amazing, absolutely amazing. I loved it. I loved every part of it, every bit of it. And he went up against some juggernauts, like I said. I'm interested to know, what is your favorite Super Bowl performance? Let me know in the comments. Out of all the Super Bowls, I think it's 50 something. And the performances that they've had, like, what's your favorite? Like I said, Prince, Bruno Mars, Coldplay, J-Lo, and what's her face? Shakira, Black Eyed Peas, which was horrible. There's so many. What's your favorite? Let me know in the comments. I want to know what's your favorite. All right, moving on to the movie, or the throwback movie of this episode. It's kind of a nod back, you know, of course all of them are throwbacks, but it kind of puts me in the mind frame of doing all the dancing and all that stuff for Usher. The throwback movie of the day, or the episode, is House Party, the first House Party. And when I say it's a nod back to the dance, and like it's such a cultural phenomenon that movie is, you know. Of course, it's Kid and Play. There was a lot of really heavy hitters back in the time that was in that movie, and there was a lot of people that it was their first movie. I know Martin Lawrence was in it. Tisha Campbell was in it. Of course, with Tisha Campbell wound up being on Martin and on My Wife and Kids, which she's an amazing actress or actor. I think they call themselves actors now. I don't think they call themselves actresses anymore. I do not remember what the darker skinned girl's name was in that movie. She was in something else, but I cannot remember. Robin Harris, Full Force was in that. I Smell. They did an amazing job, and the acting was a little, how do I put it? C grade, if at best. Tisha Campbell did a good job, but of course, Kid and Play. I mean, I don't think they had ever been in a movie before. So the acting was a little off, but I still love it. It's still a classic. The dancing in that movie, especially in the actual house party, the dance scene was amazing. Of course, you get to see the Kid and Play dance. I mean, it's just so many things, so many aspects of that movie that it's a classic, and I love it. So if you have not seen House Party, definitely check it out. I'm not sure where it's streaming. It might be streaming on Tubi. I would imagine it's streaming on Tubi because it's that type of movie. And there are several ones after that. I never really liked some of them. And then somebody else took on like the brand and did some other stuff. I know IMX or Immature whatever they were called at the time. Kind of did a version of House Party, and it wasn't very good. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, this segment of the show is called Brought to You By, and this episode is sponsored by Permatop. Do you want a hat that is guaranteed to stay on in the stickiest of situations? Are you sick of hats just blowing off in the wind? Well, I've got a solution for you. Permatop. Yes, I said Permatop. For the low price of $3,900, you can have your favorite hat surgically attached to your head, guaranteed to never come off. Our team of trusted C-grade surgeons are certified by the FAA and will have you in and out in just a short 10 minutes. So next time you get into an ill-advised fight with 3 people, choose Permatop. That hat will never come off your head if it's surgically attached. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in this episode. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment on this video, turn your notifications on so you know when I post new episodes. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you so much. I will see you guys again. You have just watched 411 the podcast. Deuces.